My name's Davina Shinsky, and I'm the host here on Live Without Limits. Now, today we're going to be talking about working from home and how to begin freelance writing. Now, the reason I'm covering this today is that we have been talking about mindset, and having the right mindset is so important when you work for yourself. Plus, this is something that's been going on really for the last 30 to 40 years, long before the pandemic hit and it accelerated this industry. So, I've had plenty of jobs in my life that I didn't like at all. It was because I needed money and I got hired there. However, I always knew that I didn't have to stay there forever. And that helped me get through a lot. So many people around the world either don't like their jobs or they just want to work from home for one reason or another. Disliking your job can cause a host of problems in your life, such as depression, anger, anxiety, and it can also cause problems with your family, friends, and also in your marriage. But here's the thing, you don't have to hate your job, and you don't have to stay at a job that you hate. What is more important to you, your job or your happiness or well being? If you believe that your happiness and well being are more important than your job, there are things that you can do to make sure that your job never affects your well being again. So, consider your interests. What do you love to do? If you could have the perfect job, what would it be and why? What can you imagine doing for the rest of your life? Is that job out in the community or can it be working from home? Now, as a career coach, these are some of the questions that I would be asking my clients who were considering starting their own business and going into entrepreneurship. So, answer these questions so that you can know what is best for you. Maybe you feel that you would be happy in a career of nursing. So go to the school for nursing. If you feel you would love a career of baking pastries, make it happen. If you want to work at home in your pajamas, start envisioning this. And this is where visualization and the laws of attraction and goal setting are so important. You may have to stick it out in your job now until you figure out what you truly desire. But you don't have to stay stuck there forever. Why would you want a job that makes you miserable? If you have a dream, follow it. Now, when I started my business over 30 years ago, it was simply because I couldn't find gainful employment. When I lost my job with the state and I tried to find something, it was literally impossible because it was the 80s and it was before the Americans with Disabilities Act. Now, you did have the Rehabilitation Act of 73, but companies always found a way to get around that and not hire people with disabilities. Therefore, the advent of the internet, because I have limited mobility, made it far easier for me to build and grow my business to what it is today. What about the bills? You may be wondering about your bills. Maybe you make a lot of money now, and what you really want to do doesn't offer you as much money. Of course, you must consider money when changing careers. It is important to start saving now so that once you feel that you're financially stable enough to change careers, you can do so without stress. Start sucking all your extra money into your savings account. If you have a good stash of money in a savings and continue to save every week, money won't be such a stressor when you make the career change. Another thing to consider is working with a financial analyst that can tell you what you can do to help you set up some planning on stocks and bonds. Now, the thing is, you want to set up some type of passive income that earns you interest. And the one thing that they always tell you is set aside at least 20% of your income every month. Well, the importance of that is one thing and one thing only, because if you don't start planning early, then by the time you retire, you won't be living on anything but Social Security. And there's also a myth about how it won't be available in the future. But also, here's the thing, that as less and less children are being born, but more and more people are aging, then that's what putting a strain on Social Security. So always be aware of how you can set up some financial security for yourself with passive income, with interest bearing bonds, various situations. Now, my father passed away in 1970, and he happened to be a lawyer, and he was born in 1909. And back then, no one thought about financial security of the future, but he knew he had two children with disabilities. So he set things up more than 50 years ago, because he's been gone 50 years, 51 years already. So he set things in motion. And one of the things he did was he bought Coke stock. And why did he buy Coke stock? Because when it reaches a certain level, it splits. So you get 2 for 1. So the fact that he bought 50 shares and now we have over 14,000 shares, well, that's one thing you need to do is early on look at things that you can put money into and look at it as a long-term investment that will grow for you. That way, as you start getting monthly income from it, it covers all your expenses and helps take you to that next level. So once you have decided what you would love to do, make it happen. If your dream job means a college degree, go back to college. If you need experience in your new job field, find a volunteer organization that will grow your skills. If you want to stay home and become a freelance writer, it's time to start learning how to make that happen. How to start a freelance writing business. Do you love writing? Do you like to write stories or informative articles for your blog? Do you happen to look forward to writing research papers while others dread it? If so, you might have a future career as a freelance writer. Freelancing has become very popular in recent years, and many people have opted out of the crazy busy traffic of stay at home and write as a career. Now, here's also something else to think about. Many years ago, if you went to work for the corporation, if you were a secretary, you may have a set salary working with the corporation, but you're sitting there doing work for 5 or 6 different people. As a freelancer, instead of being paid one salary, you can set an hourly fee and you pay and you get each of those clients to pay you that, then you're making 5 times more money because instead of being paid one set salary, you are being paid on an hourly basis. But if you say work 10 hours for one person, 10 hours for another person, whereas you were putting in 40 hours a week and working for 5 people, well, if you're working for 5 people, you're getting 5 times that amount of money if you're just charging each of them that hourly rate that you were making when you worked for the corporation. Or if you have a set salary with the corporation, you can, and the more experience you get, the more you can charge. So, begin your research. The best way to start a freelance writing is to learn about the business. Do your research on what kinds of freelance writing jobs are available. The top websites that offer freelance writing jobs and tips and tricks for being a wonderful freelance writer. You can really start by just declaring that you will do whatever it takes to become a writer. As with any job, you begin with a desire and you practice and work. You'll get better and better. Where to begin? To take some time to refresh your grammar and punctuation skills. If you're going to be writing for other people or under your own name, you want your work to be impeccable. There are plenty of websites that offer free grammar lessons and tests so you can prepare yourself for your new career. Once you've done that, go ahead and visit freelance job sites like Upwork or Fiverr and set up a profile so that you can bid on working jobs. The sites have a free sign up and give you a certain number of bids each month so that you can try to get yourself some writing gigs. You can always upgrade to get more bids. Just do it. After you've brushed up on your writing skills, go ahead and bid on writing jobs that look like something you'd like to do. Maybe someone needs 5 articles in the self-help niche and you happen to be somewhat of an expert in that niche. Create your proposal, upload some samples, and let them know what price you're willing to write 5 articles for. As a beginner, you might have to bid low or in order to get the job as you're competing against other freelance writers as well. If you don't get that writing gig, don't fret. There are plenty more to choose from. In fact, there are many different freelance writing job sites that you can use to acquire writing gigs. Also, if writing isn't your forte, look into other freelance careers such as marketing, IT, virtual assistant, web design, graphics, and more. Do you want to work part-time or full-time? It's a good idea to start your freelance career while you're at your current job. Don't just abruptly quit your job in the hope that you'll make the same amount of money as a writer. It takes time to build your business, just like any business. You can make a side income at first, and then when you're ready, jump in full time. The key is just to begin and do some writing and reading on the topic. Who knows? Maybe one day you'll progress to the point where you're writing your own books for everyone to read. The key is to just start. And remember, it's up to you to make the decision what you want your goals to be. And until you get to that point, there are many options or ways that you can think about building a business from home. For instance, because I have a disability, I do a lot virtual. I use Zoom to conduct my meetings, and I have different, in fact, I've been podcasting for 15 years, and now it's common for everyone to have a podcast who is in their own business. And yet, when I started it, and I remember partnering with someone else, and we were offering to help other people start podcasts, you found people who weren't interested in it. And yet today, everyone wants to do a podcast.